I wasn't sure where that was. Okay, it's recording.
Okay to start then?
Yeah,
Okay, May 9th, 2023 at what, 7:13 p.m.? Calling the meeting to order. Let's do roll call. Robin Kissel, I'm here.
Steve Dexel.
Steve,
Michael Cornelia.
Michael,
Julie Saul.
Julie. And no guest speakers?
No.
Okay, so there's four of us. Corey, we know, is on vacation. He has an excused absence. Has everyone had a chance to look at the agenda? And may I have a motion for approval?
Yes.
She makes the motion, I'll second it.
Okay, all agree?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all agree.
Yes,
So agenda has been approved. Approval of the last month's minutes. May I have an approval?
I approve it. I make a motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second it. Third it, fourth it.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All are in favor that are here. Now we have a special business. We're at number 5 on the special business there. Introduction of the new board. We have 3 board members right there in our meeting room. Their bios are online if anyone wants more detail. Do any of you want to give a brief intro?
No, I'm Julie Saul, just to introduce myself. Been a resident for 6 years.
Perfect.
I'm Steve Dexel. I started building my house 5 years ago.
Good.
And then at some point I would like to have time for a conversation.
And Michael?
I'm Michael Cornelia. I've been out here a little over a year. And I would also like to have, a little conversation later on.
Okay. So under special business, it says on 5B, select a president. Are you ready to do that, or you want discussion, or what would you like?
I think we're ready.
Okay, can I hear a motion or a nomination?
Nomination of you for president.
Okay, second,
I second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Okay, so done it. I took that position. As for vice president, I understand Corey was interested in the position. Is there any discussion?
I think I'm good with that.
I support Corey being vice president.
Second.
Okay. Okay, all in favor then? Corey
Aye.
is now VP. Something that we don't have there that I missed earlier was the treasurer. Corey was the treasurer before. I don't think that he should be doing both. Is there somebody that would like to be the treasurer out of the 3 of you?
Yes.
Julie would like to.
Excellent. Thank you, Julie. I second that myself. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so thank you, Julie, for being treasurer. Now we have some committees that we need to put at least 2 members of the board on. The first one is the budget committee. Usually the treasurer is one of them. Is there somebody else that would like to be on the treasurer committee
I would be.
or the budget committee?
I would be
Steve?
willing to take that.
Okay, so Julie and Steve on the budget committee?
Yeah.
Any opposition?
Any opposition? Everybody in favor?
Yeah.
I'm in favor, yeah.
I am as well. So that is so. Recreation committee.
I'd like to volunteer for the recreation committee.
Thanks, Michael. Anyone else?
I have another committee that I'd like to be considered for before I jump back to the recreation.
Okay. Okay. I'm currently on the Recreation Committee as well, and I can stay there for a bit. Okay, the third committee that we have is Personnel. I know Corey and I are currently working with Gloria, and I do have an update on that, by the way. So maybe I should give that to you. Gloria, it's not on the agenda anywhere else, so I'll go ahead and just speak of it here. Gloria has received 12 applications as of yesterday. She had 3 screening interviews today and is in the process of scheduling 3 additional interviews for tomorrow, Wednesday. We hope to have an initial report of the candidates for us by the end of the week, no later than Monday.
So
For heads up on
she will be weeding out candidates for us to look at.
that is what she is doing, yes.
Okay,
So we should have a good list no later than Monday.
okay.
Okay. Personnel, Corey has asked to be on the Personnel Committee. He's working with Gloria. I'm fine with that. Is everybody else okay with Corey being one of the Personnel Committee members?
I'm good with that.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And Steve, I hear
Yes.
you want to be on the Personnel Committee as well?
If at all possible, yes.
Is everyone in favor of that?
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Okay. I currently am on the Personnel Committee, and I would like to try to see this at least through till I get back and can hand it over to you. Is that okay with you, Steve?
That would be fine.
Okay.
So do you want me to fill in on recreation while you do?
Would you please?
Yeah, and then we can look at switching later.
That would be swell. If everyone is in agreement about that,
I agree.
I agree.
okay,
Yeah.
super.
Continuity.
Okay, at this time, we actually have public comment. Do we have anybody that would like to make public comment online or out in the hall? It sounds like nobody's there in the hall, so anybody online, can you see?
Can you hear me?
Go for it. There you are.
I'm Carissa Hannigan, live on Pine Tree Drive. I wanted to comment on the roads, which are fine, but we still have a yield sign that needs to go up on the southwest corner of Pine Valley Road and East Forest Lakes Drive. Trevor, you know which corner I'm talking about?
Did you say East Forest Lakes Drive?
East Forest Lakes, I looked on our map, East Forest Lakes Drive and Pine Valley Road, the southwest corner. So, you know, as you're going up the second entrance and then it dead ends and turns right. And then remember the plow pulled that yield sign down?
Yes,
right
yes,
by the
yep,
fire hydrant?
yep.
It's that corner right there.
Okay, I got it wrote down here. We will.
Okay, thank
Yep,
you.
we'll get that, you bet.
Anything else, Clarissa?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else online that would like to put in public comment?
I
Not
see
here.
that they, sorry,
Go
can you hear
ahead.
me?
Yes, good,
Yeah, I
Bonnie.
just noticed I just noticed the pavement, they, I guess, paved the, both entrances to Forest Lakes and, you know, seeing as so many people were bitching and moaning about how bad the roads are, I would just like to say thank you and way to go, guys. You're doing an awesome job and just keep on doing it. And I also like that ripples, you know, whatever that causes, the ripples on San Moritz. I love it because there's no way you can go more than 10 miles an hour without dropping a tranny. So I love it. I wish they do that on more roads. That would make everybody, hey, okay, you know, I'm bouncing all over the road here. Let me do the speed, because everybody's, the speed limit's 20. And I say, yeah, the maximum speed limit is 20. That's not the minimum speed limit. So I love that as well. So I just want to give a shout out to all the guys up there that they're doing a kick-ass job, and I want to thank them.
If I may comment on that, one of the deals with that road section and the rest of the roads that are being worked is that we're testing a new product that is organic, but it's not lignin based. It's primarily what they call a complex sugar, which when I dealt with the road systems, a complex sugar meant that it's sugar beet and corn syrup. And as you can tell, when it gets wet and so forth, it doesn't seem to be as splashy as the lignin material was. And hats off, in my opinion, to Daryl, who went out looking for alternatives and was able to get a more expensive product for the same price as we were paying for the lignin.
On that same topic, I had a resident ask, or a couple, do we have any like reports on usage, like toxicity or anything like that? They were concerned about pets and vegetation.
Yeah.
Do we have anything? Okay,
It's an actual product. It should
Yeah.
be.
The material safety data sheet, probably the MSDS.
okay.
I don't know if Corey's, not Corey, but if Trevor's got a copy of that or not. You can go online and see it as well, and it's pretty inert. And the sugars that they're talking about tries to contain any mag chloride that's in it. If it was straight mag chloride, the paws on the animals or dogs would get dried out and cracked, but we're not seeing any of that. And being that it's beet juice and basically corn syrup, if it's wet and they lick it, not an issue.
And that's, I think that's all it is. It's just new product. They just wanted
Sure.
to verify its safety.
The only issue with using that is when I used to do it out in the county roads, was keeping stray cows and stuff off the road while we worked it, because they sure like licking that up. So never had any deaths or anything like that from animals getting into it.
Good. Anyone else comments?
I would like to have a moment if possible, if there's no one else.
Okay,
So when I came on the board, my concern in the past was transparency and how funds were being spent. And so on the transparency side, I'd like for everybody to know that once I was sworn in, I found out that the state controls a lot of what we can say, when we can say it, how we can say it. So in that manner, we're not trying to hide anything from you, that your questions will be answered. Some questions may be answered at a later date. And the other thing is, we are not the police. We don't have Metro Police. So in that issue, if you see speeders, and I believe you can correct me if I'm wrong, Robin, is that if you can see somebody that's speeding and they get their license number, that can be called into the sheriff and supposedly they put together a report. Is that correct?
no. The smart thing is yes, call the sheriff's office and report that you've got a speeder and stuff, and you can give as much detail as you can. What they sometimes will do or have in the past is they'll set up their speed outfit, and it is capable of taking pictures, but they're not able to issue tickets from that. As I understand, they turn it into one of the lieutenants there, and it goes into a database. And then when you are pulled over on a highway by a law enforcement, it is noted that you were caught, your vehicle was caught speeding, and you'll be more likely to get the ticket than not.
Okay. Other issues that have come up in the past that have been kind of concerns of residents is like noise. And we are not in control of noise issues. So once again, call the sheriff's department if you have issues with noise. Same thing, if you have barking dogs, we can't do anything about barking dogs. That's when you call animal control. And if there's illegal camping, which we've heard about possibilities of up in Unit 3, we cannot do anything about that either, but I would recommend calling the sheriff's department because there may be a fire concern. Illegal structures and junk. We don't have control over that either, but you can call code compliance, the county code compliance office, and they will either investigate or you can express your concerns and they can tell you right there whether there's anything they can do. If it falls within their guidelines, then they will let you know that as well.
They can also log their complaint online.
Oh, they can?
Yep.
Okay, Jamie just told me they can log their complaints online as well.
Good information. Thank you.
The county code compliance,
Will block the county.
yes. One of the things that I had bringing into that, there was a concern of one of the lots having 4 storage units on it. I called to check on that and they said, in the county, you are allowed to have 4 storage units as long as they're not over 200 square feet each. And unfortunately, there's 4 of them sitting on a lot, but there's a space between them, which is also covered and turned into storage. But they fall within the county guidelines. So unfortunate for the property owners around them that might see it as an eyesore, there's nothing this board can do about it.
Correct. Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Michael, did you want to make comments at this time or wait till later?
Actually, I'd rather wait till later.
Okay.
I think just becoming more educated within the position, I'd rather wait till later to just,
Totally understand. Yes. Any other public comments? Okay, none being heard. Let's go ahead and move on to the reports from the staff. Jamie, do you have the manager's report?
Yeah, that would be our report. I did.
Or is it Shada that's going to review that?
So I can read our report and then I'll let Shauna go over the punch list. How's that?
I appreciate that. Yes, thank you.
Okay. So over and beyond our normal daily duties, office staff, we created the BLM survey letters and access permission forms were sent out. And also that information was added to our website. The small district improvement project letters were drafted and a spreadsheet created. And phone calls for Verizon cell tower that Shauna made were very successful. And I'm going to let her talk about that. She did a great job. Research on the lake and the fish as far as restocking. She also researched that. I'm going to let her speak on those 2 items. We gathered information for the attorney on well number 2. And scanned several documents that we had in-house for the attorney. We also scanned our documents that we have in-house for a service plan for the attorney to go over. We have worked closely with the payroll department for 2 pay runs now, and so far that's going well. We also have training with the payroll department on their portal. Shauna also set up a new USPS online account for us processing our monthly bills. I myself have daily I'm reviewing the district manager's emails and responding to questions and concerns. I follow up with Trevor frequently, almost every day. I have updated the DOLA website with no boundary changes, transparency notice, the new board members, all their information, oath and Rezo. I'm also working on the CTF report. I've been corresponding with the engineer about repairs to the dam and the generator project and Leslie. I've also been corresponding with the auditor to get set up for them to start in June, hopefully. We'll have to file an extension, obviously. I've been sending 2022 documents over to the accountant to get ready for the audit. I have registered all the new board members for an SDA conference, got that set up. I'm working with a new IT company to help us get our cameras operating correctly. We've had some issue with that. We've also had some internet issues that we're needing some help with. We met with Waste Management to talk about trash and recycling last week. But I'm not ready to give details on that. We want to follow up on some other things before we dive deeply into that. Let's see, I did obtain our service plan from the county. So that's one that usually our documents in-house aren't necessarily have been processed through the county. So I wanted to get a copy of what has already went through the county and the commissioner has already approved. I've been reviewing personnel files for proper job description, been updating some of those. And what else do I have on here? I'm also working with the bank because we need new signature cards for the new board members to sign off on. And ongoing correspondence with Leslie, our accountant, regarding getting things ready for the audit, and working with Cassell so that we can get the Cassell set up for fund-based tracking, which I probably got a quote for that yesterday. It's probably going to be anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000.
Okay.
And that's it for now.
Okay.
Shonda, go for it.
Okay, so update on the punch list. Ongoing emails and daily reviewing of the district manager's email and responding to residents. Payroll service contract that's completed. They run 2 payrolls already. Jamie and Barb do have further training to learn the portal a little more and train the rest of us on that. Financial plan for infrastructure, Jamie just touched on that. That's ongoing with Cassell and Leslie. We did finally get a bid for how much changing some of that's going to be. The grader lease is due in June, and that's in the packet for y'all to review later. It's on the agenda. Purchase of the F-550 snow plows. Trevor did finally hear back from the gentleman that's been helping us. It's my understanding those are approved and being built, correct?
Yep.
And
As we speak.
Trevor can probably give a better update on that. He spoke with the salesman. The engineering plans for the dam, that's ongoing. Jamie's been working closely with Rick to figure out exactly where we need to go from here and what the timeline looks like. Same with the PRV additions. And the generator, we're still waiting on a few parts from our electrician. Trevor did touch base with him this week, and he said he was still waiting. So unfortunately, we're at the mercy of someone else waiting for a part.
And Leslie, the grant writer, is also working on hopefully some funding for that as well.
Right.
Good
The fire hydrants, I don't believe that Trevor and OM have started testing yet, but it is on their schedule to get that underway. The air conditioning for the office, we still haven't made any change for that. Once again, it seems low priority when we have so many other things going on. The lead service line, we did do training this week. So we have a better idea of where we need to go, where we need to start with that. We know our first mark or our first box to check is getting a list compiled of homes built after 1988, I believe is the rule. Trevor did make some headway on learning how to use the GIS mapping system of the counties to get us at least a starting point list on that. So it was a good training session. The roller rental completed, the solar panel project that's ongoing, waiting for those parts. The water that was promised to lots this year, all the letters did go out. I have collected money for the 2 lots that were hard yeses. So we have money in hand. One project start next week, I believe is what Trevor said. He has it on the schedule. And then another one in June as well. So it sounds like we fulfilled obligations there and we're working towards it.
Wonderful.
The fish stocking in Lake Simpatico, it's on the agenda. We'll go over that later. The jump start for the mainline extension, as Jamie said earlier, we did go ahead and draft letters and a spreadsheet. It's just about making the decision of where we want to send those letters to. So we're prepped. That's generally the district manager who kind of spearheads that. We'll need to decide where we go from here, but we've at least started. So we have a jump start on it. The Bear Creek evacuation road status, we've had no change on that, no really direction, so no movement. Same with the snow plowing procedure, definitely something that needs to be worked out before next winter, but do we have to think about it right now? The cell phone tower for the subdivision, that's on the agenda, and I'll give y'all an update when that comes. The Bennett Myers water letters. We collected all of our money from leases. The ditch is on and flowing as of 4/28. So, punch list update.
Yeah, I have a question, if at all possible.
Yes, sir.
Say we get funds in for new meter hookups and so forth, money that we did not anticipate when the budget was set.
Mhm.
Where do those funds actually go? Are they just held until next year's budget, or do they feed into this year's budget? How does that work?
It's my understanding, first of all, they go to completing the project, whatever that is, the cost of the meter, the guy's time, the connection fee, all of that sort of stuff. Other than that's not really my area. You have to ask Jamie where that money goes.
There may be extra funds after all that is paid for. Is that not correct?
No. I mean, the money's used for the project and
The money for putting in a tap, whether it be water tap or sewer tap, what is it, $7,000 and $6,000 for the
Right.
fees? Does it cost $6,000 and $7,000 to actually do the hookup?
well, if you wanna figure the guy's time and hourly wage, I can't give you an exact figure off the top of my head, but it's,
But if it's less than the amount we're charging, that extra money that is left over, where does it go, is I guess my question.
The water and sewer fund, right?
it just goes into the water and sewer fund, and that's where it's kept.
And
That's
then,
how it's allocated.
and then the budget is adjusted accordingly as time rolls
It
through?
should be.
Okay, right.
It should be.
that's all I have on that.
Okay.
I'm
So,
sorry, Robin, can I just say something about the budget? Being involved with
sure,
it?
Carissa.
The budget is a living document. It can, it can be changed. Things can be added, things can be, so if there is an overage, like Shauna and Jamie said, it stays in that sewer fund, water fund, or road fund. And then when you look at it again at 6 months, at a year, depending on what you want to do, you'll see that, oh, we did better or we did worse. But it is, like I said, a living thing. Leslie can also comment on that it can fluctuate. There are emergencies, there are things that happen.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay. But does that also cover the office and administrative report? Is that
Yes.
both of those?
Yes.
Okay, so now we can go to operation and maintenance.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Trevor? You got an update for us, please?
Sure do. Yep, so for our activities for April, we did a lot of water runoff management this last month. With all that snow melting, we were constantly chasing our ditches and our culverts and keeping those open and clean so it wasn't washing out our roads. So that took a majority of our time for last month. C&J did start their excavation process out of our pond down there. They got all of that excavated and is currently up by our pit, and that gravel is drying out, and they should be starting their crushing process at the end of this month. We had a sewer clean out that we had to fix on Chateau. We hauled our ash pile there around our air curtain burner. We hauled that off. And with that being said, we started actually burning our slash pile. We're starting to work on that finally. We got the Bennett Myers ditch turned on. And we started our PRV inspections. That's part of our spring checklist. So we've been knocking a lot of things off of our spring checklist. We did a bunch of manhole I&I study there in our meadow. I know it's been brought up before. We had a lot of water coming in potentially through our manholes, and we were doing a study to try to see which manholes water was coming in from, so we can take care of that this summer. And we got all of our plow trucks ready for storage for the summertime, and just continued equipment maintenance and our water and wastewater operations. We did a bunch of meter swaps last month. I believe it was we got at least 13 of those taken care of, and along with our meter rereads and our reads as well. So let's see, that covers that. As far as our fleet goes, our pickup trucks are operational. Dump trucks, we keep getting issues with one of our dump trucks, but we're continuing to work with it. It gives us fits. It's about a 50-50 that it works or it doesn't. Everything else is operational. We do constantly have leaks that pop up on a lot of our equipment. In particular, our backhoe, we keep getting hydraulic leaks, but we're able to fix those. One of our plow trucks is still missing its radiator. Luckily, we don't need it at this moment, but that is to be repaired here shortly. Our back trailer, we keep getting we have a diesel leak on our back trailer. It's for our burner, but we can still make do with that, but it's something that we're gonna be working to get fixed. But other than that, all of our fleet's good and no safety incidences to report. And I got a couple other things here. Jamie, there was a gentleman that's been reaching out to us about recycling. Is that TDL? Does anyone recall?
Yes.
Was that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Antoine is his name.
Yes. Yep. Antoine has reached out, wanting to be able to use his services at our dump site. He's got some customers up here in Forest Lakes, but my understanding is he wants to be able to put a couple of his dumpsters down there by our dumpsters, and people who want to use his services need to contact him, and he would give them a key to access those recycling bins. So he was asking us for permission if he could put his dumpsters down there by ours. And I told him that that would have to, be discussed by the board if that is something we want to do.
And
So I
Trevor,
just- Yes, ma'am.
isn't that something that we've dealt with before? And then they were going to staff it to make sure that only those that had the right keys or whatever would use it. And didn't we
Yeah.
have that before?
We did. We had several meetings with him. Several.
Yeah.
So this was like 4 or 5 years ago, Robin.
Yes.
Came and tried to do the same thing, and he would not staff the bins. He would just give the keys, and so one of the concerns was some people would probably start leaving recycling outside the bins, which is gonna cause a problem with the animals or flyaway trash. So
He was also wanting the office staff to put a fee on our bill and then manage that portion of it. And was
Yes.
wanting the guys at O&M to clean up and keep an eye on his recycling. I don't know if he's changed his plan, because I haven't spoke to him personally, but that was what we dealt with before.
Yeah. What he told me was he would take care of it. I mean, this was my understanding of it. He would take care of it. Anyone who wanted to use his services would contact him, and then he would supply them with the key.
Well, my opinion on that is that we did try a deal over on Saturdays. A recycling group, I can't remember the names,
it was TDL.
TDL.
Mhm.
They would come on Saturdays and people on Saturdays could do their recycling. And they were there, that was manned, and don't know why that no longer worked for them.
It's my understanding it didn't work because he wouldn't show up consistently as he had stated he would.
Okay. I mean, I would be in favor of something like that for myself. My recycling, I end up giving to my wife and she takes it to Farmington with her. So it would be nice to have some sort of an outlet for that.
The only concern I have with TDL is if you read the Bayfield, Facebook pages and different things, he doesn't show up or their truck is broken, and it's kind of sporadic, and there's been a lot of complaints about that. So if he could guarantee that he would be here every Saturday.
No guarantees.
And then WCI also has a recycling program. I don't have the figures in front of me to elaborate on it, but they do have a recycling program where they can bring a rollaway in, and it has different compartments, and then they roll it back out to dump it and then replace it. So
Might be something to consider.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, in my own opinion, is maybe whatever we see, they need to put it in writing that they'll stand behind it. Because in the past, they said that they would be there and they weren't.
Exactly.
That doesn't fly. So I don't mind if we do more research on that or something, but it needs to be something that they, will do. And if it means that they staff it or whatever, then they need to do that, or whatever the case is. That's my thought.
I agree.
Yep.
Yeah, no handshake agreements. It used to be good in the past, but not today.
Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt, but you may also want, when you do this research, to get a fixed price on what they will charge the residents. And if it's only for the residents that use their service and it's not gonna be dumped on all the residents. Because when he first started doing this, he was saying, oh, $5. And the next thing I knew, when he was gonna do something, it was $15. So I think the people might want to know exactly what the rate's going to be and for how long that rate is going to be in effect. Thank you.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Okay, so I guess at this time, maybe we'll just, would you like me to reach out to him and ask for some more info or?
You know, in my opinion too, is it might be such a thing that we have him come and present to the board and let the board actually ask him the questions. To kind of tie him down a little better.
Right.
As a guest speaker.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
He's done that before.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's done it before. We can let him do it again. It's a new board. But yeah, he's got to be willing to put stuff in writing too.
We've got new people in the community as well, as we all know.
Yes, we
So
do.
it might be something new for them as well to consider.
So Trevor, if he's open to coming and being a guest speaker and presenting his program to everyone, that's, I think, something we can open up to, at least the presentation.
Okay. Would you guys like that to be on the part of the next board meeting then?
I think it should, if he's willing, I've seen his posts on Facebook multiple times. And so if he's reaching out to the community, I think this would be a good platform.
Yeah, for the June meeting, yeah.
I'd be in favor of that.
If he's willing to do that, Trevor, let us know, okay?
Okay, will do. I will reach out to him and let you guys know.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Trevor?
Um,
Oh, go
Yep,
ahead.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, did you have an update on the vehicles? Did they say anything about when the trucks would be done or anything?
Yep. So I heard back from him yesterday and so our two trucks are going to be, they're scheduled to be built at the end of this month. And that'll probably take about 3 to 4 weeks before they're completed. And probably another week before they are delivered to the dealership there in Greeley. And then from then, we have two options. We can either go up and get them, or we can have them shipped down here to us. With that being said, we got to get flatbeds. We got to get some beds put on them because it's just the truck and chassis. It's not safe for us to drive those from Greeley all the way down here if there's no truck bed on them. I'm currently working with Brad over at Durango Truck Accessories. When we got a quote from him back in October, he was about $3,000 cheaper per bed than the dealership was. I did briefly talk to him today. He said the prices have gone up, but it sounds like we would still save money if we had him put the beds on here, if we bought them from him and he installed them.
Does that also include the transportation costs for each individual part from the Greeley area, or how's that work?
So as far as like getting the trucks transferred down here, the guy said it's about $800 to $900 per vehicle to have them delivered down here.
May
So-
I ask what kind of truck these are, just for knowledge?
They are F-550s,
Which is a pickup truck?
correct?
Really big pickup truck, yeah.
Really big.
Yeah.
truck. Okay.
Yep, we were gonna use these trucks are gonna be able to plow snow for us in the winter time. They're supposed to be able to take over for our big old plow trucks that we have.
Okay, thank you.
So is there any way of making those a multi-purpose truck, or are they just gonna be designated as snowplow?
Nope, yeah, they'll be multi-purpose. We'll be
Okay.
able to use them for daily activities.
Okay.
So that's kind of the update on that. So we should potentially have them I'm gonna say sometime in July. There's no guarantee on that. But we at least got the schedule, that they're scheduled to be built at the end of this month. And we went through that state program with these trucks, and I found out going through the state program, it's supposed to save us money, and it did. It saved us about $3,000 to $4,000 per truck. The gentleman told me if, we could have done this like a year before, we would have been able to save about 10 grand. But that's just the change in and everything. Everything's so crazy now. So, but that was the reason why we went through the state fleet program, is it helps government entities save money on these kind of purchases. So that's our update there on the trucks.
Robin, I have a couple of questions for Trevor, if it's okay.
Go ahead.
Trevor, when you're replacing the fire hydrants coming up or upgrading them, whatever it is you're gonna be doing, is there a strategic plan to, have a map or have something that says we're replacing these 10 this quarter and these 50 the next quarter? So there is a plan rather than, oh, we'll get to them when we get a chance. Because I think that's pretty important with the fire season coming up, that they do get replaced as quickly as possible.
Yep, absolutely. I think since we found out that our nozzles, we can't replace these nozzles anymore because we have like these lead insert nozzles and they no longer make them. I think we need to start coming up with a fire hydrant replacement program. We currently have one for our meters, our water meters. It might be wise to come up with a fire hydrant replacement program, since we can no longer, get these parts just to fix them. We're gonna have to actually replace the whole top part, the fire hydrant now.
So when you do those replacements, you have isolation valves, so you don't have to shut off the main lines to those?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Each fire hydrant has its own shut off valve.
Okay.
So I just asked Jamie, possibly the grant writer could look into those, possibly helping us out with some finances.
Uh-huh.
So maybe we can look into that.
Yep. I think that'd be a huge help.
I have one more quick question, since I'm gonna be on the budget committee.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about what I saw down at the shop and the inventory, and sometimes you say we don't have enough piping. We're running out of piping if something breaks. Is there something, a document, something that outlines the parts that you have, how many you don't have, how many you need, when replacements need to happen, so we can, with maybe a cost estimate on it, so we can look at that in the budget to get an inventory of parts, so we are not scrambling to try and find something?
Yeah. Yep. We do have a inventory checklist of all of our parts. Typically, the only thing that we really haven't kept on our inventory list is like our mainline stuff. I could tell you, we got plenty of sewer mainline, and we have enough for, breaks, small breaks here and there, that will be okay. But like when it comes time to mainline extensions, that's stuff we don't keep enough inventory on that to just go and put a mainline in.
Yeah, even for truck parts, anything that's needed, is this all accessible online? So, it can be printed out and we can review it.
Yeah. Yep. I have a inventory checklist that we can easily get to you.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Just to try and help keep you guys, in surplus. If the
Yep,
budget
absolutely.
allows it, yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
You betcha.
Excuse me, Mark Fuson here. Hey, Trevor, with regards to the fire hydrants, one you might want to look into that's pretty user friendly is called a Kennedy hydrant. I have some previous experience with them and they're fairly easy to replace and work on. So just something to think about. If you're going to start looking around, check those guys out.
Okay. Kennedy.
Kennedy, yeah.
What kind of hydrant?
Kennedy
Kennedy.
brand.
Kennedy brand?
Also, Trevor, how many of we've got like 174 hydrants, is that correct?
I want to say it's like 143.
Okay. So how many of those are of this old style? I mean, are we gonna look at replacing at least 100 hydrants?
As far as I know, they're all pretty old.
Okay,
The only new ones who have been on our recent mainline extensions.
okay.
That's why I think maybe a fire hydrant replacement program would be smart, just over time, we just start updating these, to where, if something does happen to them, the parts are easily replaced.
Now also the current water that is in the main lines and so forth, are those hydrants dry hydrants?
Yep, they're all dry barrel.
So we don't have any concern about any of the lead being exposed into the water in the main system now?
Correct.
Okay, good.
Okay, anyone else for Trevor? Or Trevor, you got anything else?
I think that's about it. I mean, other than we got a couple big purchases, that we would like to make and obviously run by you guys for approval. One of them being for our fire hydrant testing. It's a pedalless nozzle bundle. So what that means is, so before, when we go to test fire hydrants, when we test them, we have to we flood people out. I mean, we flood water down the ditches and it clogs people's, culverts, and it runs all over the road and just makes a mess. With this pedalless testing unit that we could get, that will eliminate that. What we could do is open that hydrant up and have it hooked to our water truck. So all that water that we're flushing through that hydrant and testing for our numbers, it's just going right into our water truck. And we're not destroying the roads and, blowing people's driveways out. That would be a huge benefit to us. And just so you guys know, that's around $4,500 for this purchase here. So also we've kind of been looking into a rock picker. So when we're doing roads, when we're pulling ditches, since all of our ditches kind of got messed up this year with all that runoff, we got to recreate our ditches. When he's pulling those ditches, we're getting a bunch of rock, and it's a pain in the butt for him to relay that material on the road with all that rock on there. So we're kind of looking to try and get something that we can use to pick that rock out. Instead of us hand picking them out, it's a huge time. It takes a lot of time for our guys to pull those rocks out up the windrow. So that would be another purchase that we're looking at. I want to say that's around $5,000 as well. And I know Bruce had mentioned in the past about a ground penetrating radar. From what I recall, he said that he had that in the budget. I don't know if that's true or not, but that would be super beneficial to us. For leaks that come up in the future, we can see exactly where everything is and how deep everything is. And I want to say he said that was around 4,000 or 5,000 as well. And another piece of equipment that would be super beneficial to us would be a mini excavator. And I don't know, if we could get some numbers, how much we could potentially spend on a piece of equipment to help us. I mean, we can use that to help with roads and clean ditches and install taps, and the amount of attachments that we could put on that mini excavator could help us out greatly. So I guess that maybe, if I can just get like a number, if we can go over the budget at some point, get some numbers, so I kind of have an idea of maybe what we can spend on a piece of equipment, that would be great.
Well, on that end too, if you can respond back to us with what leasing a piece of equipment for that season, because it's a seasonal piece of equipment. And might be more cost effective for several months usage rather than an entire year of making payments on a piece of equipment.
Sure.
Could you
Yeah.
add all those to the bottom of your part list and put the values and all that stuff in there, and then we can look at the part list too to see what you need?
Yep, I can do that.
Okay,
You might also want to prioritize, like, your top wish, your second wish, prioritize a little bit too, maybe.
Yep. No, I don't expect us to get them all at one time. But yep, we can definitely do that.
you never know, Santa may come early.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all I got.
Thanks, Trevor.
Thank you.
Nice job on the roads. It sounds like you're doing great.
Thank you very much.
Now that takes us to financial. Is that going to be you, Jamie, or is Leslie going to do that, or?
That's going to be Jamie. Really, the only, I can start off talking about what I'm working on. The only thing I'm really working on is trying to get the 2022 financials together. And this delay we've taken with Cassell has just been ridiculous. It's been 6 weeks since we identified that there was a problem with the system, and that when they did the implementation, they didn't create funds in Cassell. So there's no general fund, sewer fund, water fund. It's just all one big, bucket. And so, I brought it to their attention 6 weeks ago, and, they made us buy a training to have somebody look at our data. And, it's the first thing we did was, what's the problem with the funds here? And, oh, I don't know, you'll have to go to the implementation team. And so requested a quote, and we finally got the quote yesterday. 6 weeks. So that's, a $3,000 expenditure to get them to fix the implementation that wasn't done correctly. It worries me for actually moving forward, working with Cassell, that it takes them so long and they're so unresponsive. And I heard this from Jamie before, she said, they're just not unresponsive. So I wasn't surprised, but that's just beyond ridiculous in my opinion. And so we really haven't moved forward at all in trying to get the 2022 financials together, just trying to communicate with Cassell. So I did put in a call to the auditor today so we can sit down and talk about deliverables. What is it that they're going to want to see to get the financials together? Because we've got a half a year in QuickBooks and a half a year in Cassell. So somehow we have to put those together and get a year put together. So, but I think that's really going to take a conference with the auditors to see, what they need to work with to do the financial statements. And, once we get the chart of accounts and the funds fixed in Cassell, then we can move forward to getting the correct beginning balances and all that in. But we just haven't made any progress, just waiting for them. So
So on that $3,000 charge that they had, was that they had to reprogram especially for us, or is it just that they missed it? And they decided they're gonna charge us the $3,000 for something they should have done, or how's
You know,
that
they
work?
done, but looking back, there's very little. It's hard to really see how the conversations went, but I think that there was probably fault on both sides. I don't think that Forest Lakes really realized how, there wasn't anybody leading the team who's really familiar with government accounting to really check off that everything was set up correctly. And Cassell did nothing, it doesn't sound like, to educate the team on, how government accounting works and how it's supposed to be set up. And,
So they didn't advise us whatsoever, and then all of a sudden they find out there's an issue, and oh, by the way, that's $3,000.
Correct.
yeah, pretty much.
There was nothing in the contract when it was purchased?
Not to
Well,
that.
they are saying that the district signed off that the implementation was complete. They showed the chart of accounts to the district and said, is this your chart of accounts? And the district said yes. But the chart of accounts doesn't specifically, it doesn't show funds. I mean, you can have, the same chart of accounts in every fund. There's really nothing in the chart of accounts that specifically says, fund. So you can look at the chart of accounts and say it's fine, which is what the district did. But they didn't give them a list of funds and say, are these the funds that you want? I don't, I wasn't there. So I don't really know how it all happened, but it's a big miss. I mean, you can't even use this, you can't do anything with it without the funds. So it was a big blunder. But
I'm sure that there's other districts that are using these programs, and either it was their salesperson that didn't inform us properly. I mean, I don't think it's something new, is it? I mean, and some of the other districts around using it?
no, all governments use it. Any government accounting requires funds, and even in the budget, you're required to show your beginning fund balances, your ending fund balances in every fund. And there are rules and restrictions and statutes on what you can do with your funds and transferring money between funds and all that. So yeah, that's standard government accounting. It's nothing new or unusual or different that Forest Lakes is doing that any other district or county or city or state wouldn't be doing. It's just ridiculous that it's not there. But again, they're saying, we signed off on it, so we have to pay for them to fix it. And could we argue it? Well, maybe, but how much longer? I mean, we'll be sitting here forever waiting to resolve it, I think. So I guess one choice we have would be ditch Cassell and go back to QuickBooks. I mean, we would save a lot of money if we did that, but it would be a lot of work to go back. We'd have to recreate everything that's been done in Cassell since they gave up QuickBooks. But at the same time, going into Cassell, we have to recreate everything from the first 7 months of 2022 in Cassell. So either way, there's a whole lot of recreating that's going to happen in one system or the other. So it's going to be
$3,000 education.
I beg your pardon.
I say we just chalk it up to a $3,000 education and hope we don't make the same mistake on another issue.
I guess.
Thank you.
And there's a contract for the 3,000 for the additional module?
There is. It's waiting for a signature, so I was waiting for Robin to come back and go over that.
Okay.
But, and part of the problem is we were scheduled for implementation on Cassell, and it kept getting pushed. And so that's part of the problem too, is their team started getting stressed out and just threw us together because it threw them off their schedule. Their schedule was tight. They had other people waiting to have the system, set up for them as well. So it was real sloppy and quick because they had to move on because they had other people scheduled, and we missed our deadline because we were moving into here. There was a lot of.
So it was a
stuff going on.
combination of
It
everything.
really was,
Yeah.
yeah, and they didn't educate us and make things clear.
Yeah.
A true cluster.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Jamie, did you have anything else to add to financial?
I do not, I just have the disbursement sheet here.
Okay, and that comes at the end.
So
Excuse
can I ask a question before Leslie jumps off? You had shown a really beautiful budget that was easy to read that some other districts have done. Is that the intent, is to get our budget to start into a system like that so it's readable and you can understand it?
Yeah, you're talking about the fund-based balance sheets that we looked at a couple of meetings ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what the intention is. Yeah.
Okay, and that's where this module has to come in to make the budget.
Fund-based accounting in, any number of different systems. Cassell is marketed as specifically a government accounting system. And so it's pre-set up with, everything like that programmed in. So, it has special behind the scenes ways of doing cash allocations and all those sort of things that are, required for government accounting. So that's specifically what the system is for. The one that I showed you was in QuickBooks. You can do it in other systems too, but that is the idea, so that you have all your financials separated into funds and, beginning and ending balances for every funds as you go through.
Okay, thanks.
Robin, can I interrupt again?
Sure.
So I wanted to help Trevor out. In the 2023 initiatives and projects, we had $386,400 set aside, blacked out this way. So if he can save some money on some of these things, maybe he can afford his 3 times 5,000 and whatever the mini excavator is. So 386,400. Snow plow replacements are 120,000. The emergency generator, 40,000. The lig truck, 50,000. And the gravel crush, 150,000. We also had a riding lawnmower for 10,000. So that should add up to the 386,400. So that to help the board within that budget, we've got that large amount. If he can get the 2 plow trucks, whatever the generator is going to cost, take money that we don't need that lig truck, I don't know. And if the gravel crush, I believe it's going to be less than that, then you would have money for his wish list, if you want to call it that.
The other thing that I would like to look at is on that lid truck issue or the application truck issue is just putting a spray bar on the current water truck that we have and make that water truck a multi-purpose as well. That would save us possibly some money. And then look down the road at a replacement truck as needed. Seems to me like we're throwing a lot of money at equipment that maybe could be multi-purpose, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, I do believe Daryl was looking at getting a new spray bar that we could use for the water truck at least.
Okay.
Okay,
'Cause
thank you.
It doesn't hurt if we're gonna put water on the roads, if it's got a little bit of the product still in the bottom of the tank, it doesn't hurt anything.
Sure. Yeah.
It just makes sense to me that we do that.
Yep.
Okay, thanks everyone there.
That would free up some cash.
So I've written some notes down. The next item is property tax. We've collected $344,961 of the $704,709. As for water that was pumped in the month of April, it looks like it was 385,608 gallons. And I don't have anything for the budget. I think it says refer to the paperwork there. The handout. That will take us to unfinished business. So it was asked if we could table that first item, the policy change, until the June meeting. Is everyone in agreement about that?
In second,
Okay. Me too. So motion made, seconded.
I'm in favor.
I think we need some discussion on that.
So table it until June's meeting. Is that what I'm hearing? Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, good. That will take us to the Verizon Tower, and I think Shauna has some information for us on that, doesn't she?
she
Yes,
does.
ma'am.
Thank
So,
you.
after a lot of phone calls, I finally found an email to a gentleman in the engineering department. They apparently hold those emails real close because it took me a long time to get it. So I just shot him an email and lo and behold, the next day, someone called me. So I spoke with a lady who is a senior real estate project manager and network engineer. I told her what we were looking for, what we wanted, and she was going to do some research. I also informed her just about some of the rumors I had heard that the tower that serviced our district was under negotiation, that the network had been upgraded, but not the tower. I told her we had received complaints about, calls dropping, uncompleted calls, all of those sorts of things. She did some research. She called me back yesterday afternoon with a couple more questions about how close this tower was to us. It was about 5 miles away, the one that she had found in her investigation that was kind of under negotiation. She didn't fill me in a lot on that, but what she did tell me was it does sound like there is a need for a new tower on the Verizon network. She was going to speak with people in the Colorado branch. She actually works out of Utah, but like oversees, I guess, this division. So she was going to put some more boots on the ground and circle back around. She did ask me what we were looking for as far as, a lease negotiation. And I told her I wasn't specific on that because I wasn't the decision maker. I was just gathering information. So I told her what I would like is a couple of different proposals on how they normally operate within lease agreements. And I would present it. And she told me she would keep working. And as soon as she had an update for me, she would touch base, or if she had a question, or if we had a question or something that we wanted to come at with her, she gave me all of her contact information and she told me she would hear from me. I would hear from her next week. So I definitely do think that we're making some headway. And it sounds like it's a possibility.
Nice.
Good
So,
job.
yeah, nothing concrete, but some headway.
yeah. So I will tell you,
Mhm.
I was the one that started this whole thing.
Okay,
You have to have a road accessible to a big truck. Did they tell you that?
she did not tell me that.
So like where the tower is by the lake, it couldn't go because you'd have to build a road and it can only be, it has to be within 5 miles of a good road for them to get to.
Okay,
So stuff like that, you just need to kind of
okay,
make sure they know.
okay,
5 mile radius is the one in Bayfield,
okay.
up on the hill,
Mhm.
because the crow flies 5 miles.
Okay,
They're considering that an okay thing.
okay,
So don't let them tell you that.
okay, Sounds good.
Just a little bit of background.
okay, perfect. Well, then I may reach out to you with other questions as they come up that I don't know how to answer. But yeah, I at least felt like we made head. She heard me. She said there was a need. She wasn't real insightful or a lot of details, but she did sound like she was at least legitimately going to try to help us,
That's good.
which was huge.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
Good job. Okay, that takes us to new business. The greater contract, is Trevor handling that or?
Yes, he is.
Or-
Yes.
Yes.
Did you guys see that contract there? Our lease quote there?
Well, I see several proposals here.
I had a question because there were 2 leases. And 24 months was almost the same price as 60 months, 48 months. Excuse me. So it looks like they have a tier policy. And you pay more for less months?
Is that the cat or the John Deere?
The cat. So like for 60 months, it's 6,204, 48 months, 68, 2596. And 24 months, 9,362, it goes up. For the smaller
Shorter period.
shortage, yeah,
Is that not if we wanted to purchase that?
lease. Lease and insurance.
God, almost $9,000 a month to lease it.
Yeah.
What do we currently pay right now, Jamie? What was it that we pay quarterly?
For the lease, it's 9,600.
Yeah, 9,600.
Quarterly.
But if we rent it monthly, it's 10 grand.
Yeah, renting is outrageous. But you know, talking with that cat guy, even if we did go with him, he said that he wouldn't be able to get us a blade until the end of the year. So that kind of puts us in a bind as far as when our lease ends with our John Deere.
Right. And John Deere's cheaper.
So is this a lease to purchase option or is this just you lease it?
It can be a lease to purchase option. At least I know with the cat ones, those cat quotes, it did show like the buyback value or whatever after that lease, after that term.
Well, it seemed like I read the lease was 92,920 for 24 months for John Deere. Is that right?
Yeah, yep, that is correct. And
And that's for
Look-
one grader?
correct, yep, just for one. I mean, prices, they've told me that just with the inflation, with everything, the cost of metal, blah, 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 everything's just going up. And you know, our lease quote that we got from John Deere, I don't know if you guys have that one or not, but it says payment amount, and it's got a total of like 92,920.
Right.
He told me he's like, you want to know what your monthly payment would be? He's like, you would take that and divide that by 12. And that comes out to like $7,743 a month.
So he really needs to put that on the quote. In my opinion, I think it should all be lined out.
Like break it down more.
Yeah. What the
yeah.
interest rate is.
Yep, I agree. Because in my opinion, if we're paying $9,600 quarterly currently, and our new one's gonna be $7,700 monthly, that is a huge increase.
Ouch.
If you lease equipment, is the maintenance done by the company we're leasing it with? So parts and everything are done by them?
Correct, yeah, this one was, we had that maintenance plan covered in this quote, yes.
And if we purchase it, it's all on us, except for maybe the 1 or 2 years.
And then
Yeah,
it
whatever
has
the
to
warranty
fall
would be.
off, be repaired, brought back. So it didn't make sense for us to do that.
Mhm.
And currently, we don't have the service plan with this one, right?
Correct,
That's why our monthly is, it's less expensive, correct, Trevor? Because we don't currently, on the current lease, we don't have the service plan.
yeah, we don't have the
The
maintenance
new
plan on it.
one will have the service plan.
Correct,
On the new lease.
Yes, ma'am, on the new lease. On the current lease of the grader, we don't have the service plan. So we're responsible for servicing the grader. Yes.
Yep.
Yes,
So it almost makes sense to go with a 60-month lease for 6,000, because we're paying 9,000 now. You said, right?
Quarterly.
Quarterly.
Quarterly versus monthly.
yes.
So three months is 9,000.
Oh,
Which doesn't sound so bad.
Yeah.
now with those cat quotes, that is not including if we like trade in our current blade.
well, there's a trade-in total on here of 49,000.
Yep,
From- From John, sorry, from John Deere,
Right.
Correct.
but
Yep.
nothing like, okay.
Yep, and if we, and like I said, with cat, we wouldn't be able to get one until like close to the end of the year.
So bring me up to speed. Why is there even a trade-in if it's a lease? Why is there even a trade-in involved in it? I don't understand that,
There's a
Right, yeah.
option
right?
on there.
We're like building equity pretty much with our current lease that we have.
Okay,
So at the end of our lease, you know, we have a certain amount of equity when it comes to the trade-in, and we can use that and we just roll it into our new lease.
okay, but if we don't go with them currently and decide to go with another vendor, do we still get that credit is that lost?
That is a good question. And I'm assuming if we, let's say we wanted to go with cat. I'm just curious if they would let us, you know, at that point, we just make our regular payments. It's not considered a lease anymore, like we're, you know, choosing to own it. So we would just continue to make those
You're saying that
payments.
we're building equity. So if we're building equity, does that mean we've actually they're holding money that we could actually get back and put towards another vendor if we wanted to? I'm just asking the question because I don't know.
That's a good question. I don't know either. I don't know if that equity is just only built with John Deere.
As a trade,
You know,
could
looking,
you find that out for us?
yeah, you know, this might be worth having the guy that I've been talking to actually present all this stuff to you guys too, because, you know, some of this is like way over me and I don't know how their finance stuff works and how the rollover and the residual rate, all that works. That's kind of,
Yeah, but we've got to renew this lease.
Yep.
pretty quick.
yes, yep.
So that would mean a special meeting for us in order to have him talk to us.
more than likely, it's just financial incentive to stay with them.
That's
And
what I
it
was,
just stays with them.
yeah,
And that's how they, yeah,
it's a hook.
yeah. They dangle in front of you to keep, you know, with that company. But
Trevor, could you have him also put on what you just talked about, which was, a trade-in if we stayed with Caterpillar? Put it on his quotes?
If we decide to go to Cat, yeah, he has to have a guy that would come up from Albuquerque and they have to do their own assessment on what it's worth. So I couldn't imagine it's going to be much different than what John Deere quoted us. But in order for him to put that into the system, it has to be done by one of their guys. They have to physically come out and look at the machine.
But equipment availability with Caterpillar is an issue.
Correct, yeah. I asked him, I was like, okay, let's say we go with you and could we get our blade when our lease is up with John Deere? And he's like, no, it wouldn't be until the end of the year that we would be able to get you a blade.
So we're pretty much stuck with what we've got and need to just do the signature, it sounds like.
Right, unless
Otherwise, we
unless we
don't have
can,
any roads getting repaired for the summer.
yeah, right, exactly. Unless John Deere lets us, instead of the lease option, once our lease ends, we decide to, go and like say we want to purchase it. So we can purchase it for, the next 4 or 5 months until Cat can get us a blade and then we can trade it into them. Is my, maybe that's an option. I
It
don't
would
know. for
probably
sure.
go to a month-to-month rental then, which would be outrageous.
No, I mean,
To
Well, we
extend,
wouldn't-
is what I'm saying.
we wouldn't want to rent it though, it would be, we'd decide to buy it and then, continue a payment plan for, the next 4 or 5 months until we can get a Cat. But I don't know if that's an option or not. I don't know what happens when our lease ends, if we have to give it up or if we can. I'm sure there's an option that we can buy it, say, all right, we don't want to lease it anymore. We actually want to buy this piece of equipment. And then they could set us up that way. I'm sure that's an option, but I don't know for sure without talking to Asa.
When does the lease actually end?
Like the middle of June.
It says, annual lease payment of $89,835 for 2 years on the John Deere. Equipment buyback, guarantee buyback of $310.
That's for the one that we're looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything from you, Robin? What are your thoughts?
Well, do we have actually enough information that we can even make a decision?
I don't think so.
But we've also only got 2.5 weeks to make a signage of the new lease.
Yeah, but we'll have our June meeting before the lease probably expires. So we've got a little bit of time. It's pushing it.
Yeah.
I
The
can
way
ask,
it's right now is we just need that clarification from John Deere. What an extension, what a, like solid numbers from John Deere, because
If we kept it until Cat could deliver.
right.
That's a huge increase.
Oh, it's outrageous.
It just doesn't sound quite fair. There's something, is there any way that there's a mistake in their figures or anything?
I would sure hope so.
Maybe we could re-verify that those are the actual numbers that they're saying, because that's crazy outrageous.
Yeah, it's like
That's what, 3 times more?
it's like $13,000 more quarterly.
That's ridiculous.
packet
Um,
for the John Deere.
that's crazy. Those numbers just don't sound right to me, but is there a chance that maybe we could get that verified and then,
Yep, I'll see if he can't give us a better breakdown on this as well.
This one
that
doesn't.
would be good. I just feel like we don't have enough information or justification to agree to pay that kind of money for,
Okay. No.
maybe I'm wrong, but it just sounds like something's missing.
Agree. So in the meantime, I will reach out to Asa first thing tomorrow morning and ask him if he can break this down and just double check that these numbers are right, because I mean, yeah, a $13,000 increase quarterly seems pretty excessive.
And from what I'm seeing here is, it's like trading in for a newer unit to lease. I'm wondering if there's a discount if we continue to lease the unit that we have, because it's still relatively new. It's only 2 years old.
Uh-huh.
So you might check and see what a continuation lease would run us on the existing piece of equipment.
Yep, I can do that as well.
It looks like his two pieces of paper don't match, the numbers don't match. One's 439, one's 587. Amount finance 396. So maybe he needs to go back and look at his numbers. But, to your point, maybe preface it that way and say, hey, we want to continue leasing this. What can you give us to stay with you?
Okay, Trevor, if you wouldn't mind getting back with that and seeing what he comes up with for us,
Yep, I can do that.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I will
Okay,
keep you
let's-
guys in the loop.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Okay, let's go to B, the rec center, fix it, use it, or leave it. Have you all had a chance to review the documentation that Jamie sent to us?
Yes, I have.
What are we looking at now?
The rec center.
Oh,
One on the back of this,
Yeah.
the DNA
yeah.
report.
I had a question as to when that DNA quote was written.
It was 2 years ago. Is that how I did it on it?
There's no date.
It was 2 years ago.
On the very back page.
So in order to fix it, we're going to have to get some bids. Is that true, Jamie?
Yeah. That's true.
So if we fix the community center, what are we going to be using it for?
Well, in the past, we've used it for meetings, of course. We did that on a monthly basis until COVID came. And we used it for movies for residents of Forest Lakes. They've had weddings and yoga there, other items or events that they've hosted there, and the individuals usually pay a fee and have their insurance. They insure it for the time that they're there. Now, we have a lot of fixing up to make it user-friendly, if you will, or safe. But I have no idea what that would cost.
So I went up the other day and looked at the building. And we need to first look at ADA compliance, which would be the bathroom door accesses.
Yes,
And also the sidewalk outside.
yes.
And of my opinion, that all that broken up concrete be straight hauled away. It's not being used as an outdoor barbecue or picnic ground like they did in the past. The barbecue that was exterior and built years and years and years ago when it was a ski area is dilapidated. It can go away, and basically pour sidewalks from the parking lot and from the stairs. Doesn't have to cover that entire area with concrete, in my opinion, again. and sidewalks going into the access doors.
True. They
Yeah.
used it for fire mitigation. I think they had a barbecue there then during that time period. That's been a few years.
But yeah, there's
Um,
no saving that concrete up there, though. That concrete is just too far gone.
Yeah, it needs work. Totally agree. And lighting, if anything's going to be at night, it needs to be lit.
And the spalling of the stairs, that can be just skim coated. It's just mainly the face of the step instead of the tread itself. Could just be skim coated to seal that off. As far as the beams go, I am of the opinion of the beams right now aren't holding anything because we have interior posts. The beams on the exterior right now are just basically nostalgic. But if we want to get rid of those interior posts, it would require us taking some sort of a pier underneath the eave or closer to the structure itself and supporting those beams from that. And then anything exterior from the drip edge of the eave, just completely remove that. That's where the rot is at. From under the eave up, they're capped in metal. When I went through, you could tell that the roof had not leaked and run down the beams into the interior walls. There was no staining there. This I saw as a proposal. But there's really, in my opinion, a few items that really need to be addressed in order to make it usable. For what it's worth.
So are we of the opinion that maybe we can use it and bring in revenue? Or are we of the opinion that we don't use it? Or what is everyone's thoughts?
Well, then we have to look at, it becomes a liability. To let it sit there, we're paying insurance on it, I believe, at current cost. If we tear it down, that's gonna be a cost. I don't think a salvage company would come in and do it for free. There's just all sorts of options that can be looked at, but all of it's gonna be a cost.
I totally agree with you. And remember, there's a swimming pool in underneath. So, I mean, for the environmental, there's going to be some issues probably with that. I have a feeling it'd be cheaper to fix it to make it at least minimal. And then as time goes, you can add more funds to making it even nicer.
Well, one of the things that I asked about the pool, and I was told that that pool had been filled in. I don't know if it was filled in with just dirt or if it was actually filled in and concreted over. Is that what?
Concrete, yeah. And I wonder about the plumbing, because that building's old enough where it could be lead plumbing. That could be lead associated. Good point.
I'm gonna say we need to table that personally. I'm speaking not for the whole group, but for me, table that and really get some eyes on it. This is a good proposal, but as she was saying, there might be something to do with lead in the piping up there. I'm not certain how all that works. I'm not a plumber. So. But
Well,
it
I think
is-
Jamie
Go ahead.
needs a decision so that she can inform the insurance one way or another. My opinion is, let's get some bids to see what it costs to fix, to make it functional.
Right.
But-
Right.
Do we have enough time for that, Jamie?
Yep, we can do that.
I truly wish that my hands weren't tied so I could volunteer to do a bunch of this stuff and save the subdivision money, but I know that's not feasible.
That's correct. Thank
I
you.
guess my concern is I've been here for 6 years and the use of that place, even before COVID, was probably a dozen things, other than the church group that was there every Sunday who never paid a thing, but they vacuumed the carpet to keep it nice and keep it clean. That was their payment to us. To have a dozen things in there, I mean, to spend the amount of money that could potentially go to something else that is much more needed.
Now, is that classified as commercial property as well? Where if that was removed, that could possibly be looked at as another income to have somebody come in and build something there that we would lease to them? And the fact that that's the case, if they walk away, whatever the structure they put on that becomes ours, as in most lease situations, I believe.
I don't know about that.
Because then we could just bring in the fire department, let them have a fire train, burn the thing to the ground and haul off the scrap.
No, I suggested that. I'm sorry, I did. I've been here almost 4 years and we haven't had that many people want to rent the rec center before we closed it.
I mean, evidently, back years ago, when I looked at this place 40 years ago to buy property, they had little cabins down here. And I think they had fire drill training on those cabins.
They burn them down.
Yeah. So that's an option. I don't know if we put it before the residents as to what they think. I know anything that's gonna be an increase in their fees is gonna be a definite no. So it's,
So for the insurance on the place, what's happening with that as far as?
They just want to know how to pay this out. And so if we're wanting to fix it up, then they want some quotes. They want to know if we want to leave it as it is right now, closed up. If we're gonna use it as it is, or if we're gonna fix it up.
so what are we paying a month on the insurance for that, you know?
I don't know, it's a package deal, I would have to.
Okay, well, I'm just curious. Because I'm all about saving money for the residents wherever we can. And trying to figure out a way to bring an income, some sort of source of funds into ours, so we're not passing it on to the residents all the time. For what it's worth.
No, I don't, I agree with that, because I just don't see the feasibility of fixing that up.
If we're paying insurance on it, that could reduce that and put it somewhere else in the budget. If it wouldn't cost a whole lot, haul off the scrap. I've done that in the past, 50 years ago. I know I don't look that old, but 50 years ago, burn a structure down and haul off the ashes. And then offer it up to somebody else for commercial. I would personally rather see commercial be done next door to us here where the soccer fields are, since that's commercial property. And not have traffic running up and down.
Well, there's some-
Alpine Forest, that's a lot to be talked about in the future, but those are some areas that we could consider down the road.
Maybe we just leave it as is for now.
And then they give us no money, right?
Look, I don't know how they're gonna pay us out. I'll know once I give her a response.
The
You know-
windows that were broken only had the interior panes broken. It wasn't broken completely out. Somebody got into the building and then did whatever they did, but didn't break all the way through the glass. The windows that I saw were just interior panes that were broken. And the tagging, most of the tagging in there was down on the mirrors, which could be sprayed down with goof off probably to get rid of, wipe it down with a paint thinner or something, but we still have the ADA compliance issue, cost of concrete to make access that way. There's a lot of outlying costs that are gonna come into play. I mean, maybe we just have a big community barbecue up there and just burn the thing to the ground. Do it on the 4th of July.
Do we need to worry about like environmental issues with that swimming pool?
Or let it, you know,
I don't know.
'cause it's old.
I wouldn't think so if it's full of concrete.
I don't know that it is. It may just be full of some dirt and some
I would-
concrete
I would
as a
assume
sealant.
concrete,
That's a
but-
lot of concrete.
That would take a lot. to build.
It might just be backfilled and then a concrete floor poured over.
Didn't they say they tried to drill into it?
I don't know.
I think the thing,
I
so
thought there was something in there.
they tried to drill and could only get down so far.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
Well, we really don't have the funds to fix it so much, so maybe just leaving it at this time would be the smart thing to do.
Either way,
Yeah.
I don't think the payout's gonna be huge.
Well, if it was $3,000 or $5,000, Trevor could get his mini excavator. For-
Yeah, yeah.
Those are expensive.
If
So-
he buys a mini, a used mini, it might be 5,000, but otherwise it's gonna be pretty expensive.
I vote to leave it as is and not do
I
anything.
agree. I would agree with that. Give us a time to look at other options.
Okay. Michael?
I'm kind of in favor of like having the residents speak up on this matter because, you know, it's just over the span of Forest Lakes Metro. It's just another item that goes away from the residents, you know, as far as recreation goes. You know, it's a place of gathering, it's a place of, you know, just being right there next to the park. I just think if we're taking something, like it's just one more resource for the residents that's going away. And I don't like to see that.
What if we were able to put something on the utility bill that goes out, asking them to, as much as I hate to say, call the front office and say use, leave, or demolish?
Yeah, I agree. I think some of these issues like should go in front of the residents, you know, and I know we represent as a small group the residents. But I would like more input from the community.
Could you put something on the website that's a voting?
Yeah, I would think that we could work some sort of clickable link and then put a note on the bill that says, go to the website, vote by something.
Yeah, we have to give them a deadline.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's just.
Why don't we do something like that?
Worth the effort.
Yeah.
You know, as long as we get,
Yeah,
get all the information we can to make a
Yeah.
judgment.
I agree.
But we want to just right now hold it. I mean, leave it as it is. Until we figure out what the residents want,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
I think that's
Okay,
where
so-
we're at right now, Robin, we'll just leave it.
Okay, so I make a motion that we leave it pending the information that the residents give us by what, July 15th?
That's fine with me.
That's plenty of time to respond. sure.
how about before the July meeting?
It's a thought. What date's the July meeting? The second Tuesday in July, I get you.
We're looking.
shame on me for not knowing.
The 11th.
Okay, so July the 11th then. Something to that effect? Does that sound like a fair motion?
I think so. Personally, myself, what do you, rest of you think?
I agree.
I agree.
No.
So,
Because holding them off another 2 months is, you know, it's set the way it is now, it can set another 2 months the way it is until we figure it out.
will
Maybe
that
in
give
that
them,
time frame, maybe in that time frame, we can get some ideas of cost to demolition or upgrade, just so we have that information to make a judgment on as well.
that would be good. Does that give us enough time to put on, like, I'm guessing the May bill's already gone out. It would be the June billing.
And the
And I-
July.
And July possibly for them to vote on what they would prefer happen with the rec center.
We could also use the outbounding campaign program and just send out a mass message of, hey, go to the website, vote on the rec center. I think I don't remember the exact characters of message that I can send out, but we could definitely do that as well. That
What's that gonna
Good
cost
idea.
us?
a penny, isn't it? A penny a penny a message above 100, correct?
And, yeah,
So how many messages have you sent out already?
10.
I haven't gotten any.
It only referred to San Moritz and the road being closed for the emergency,
Okay.
if your driveway was blocked.
Oh, you can target. Oh, nice.
It's pretty much, you make spreadsheets, upload it into Outbounding Campaign, and then it goes out to whoever you have on that spreadsheet.
nice.
So,
As long as we have their contact info.
exactly.
So before we do that,
Mhm.
what are we gonna say? Do you want it or don't you? Yes or no, but they're not gonna have any context as to how much and what the repairs need to be done and all that. So on the website, it definitely needs to have
Right,
like all of the figure totals.
yes, ma'am.
This is an estimate of how much it's going to cost.
Minimum, because
Minimum.
things have gone up.
Okay.
And this estimate was 3 years ago, 2 years ago. We will have to reestimate and prices could go up or something like that.
Perfect, okay, yeah. I'll start looking into how we go about some sort of clickable link on the website. And I'll make sure I put it on the June bill when it goes out.
Excellent.
Does that work for everyone then?
Yes.
Yep.
I agree, yeah.
Okay. So at this point, we'll leave it and we'll put message pending or results pending after the vote from the residents.
Okay,
But we do, like you said, have to give them as much information as possible, okay? We all agree. How about stocking the lake with some carp or whatever? Shawnee, you got some info for us?
Yes, ma'am. So I've done a lot of research on stocking. I'm not a fish expert by any means, nor have I ever stocked a pond, but I did do a bunch of research. I'll start with the last time we stocked was in 2020. We stocked trout and grass carp for mitigation of the overgrowth. So when I reached out to who I thought had brought us fish last time, they're no longer in existence. They must have closed their doors. I can't find any trace of them. So I reached out to a couple of other ones. The downfall about that place going away is they were the closest to us. The next closest place I found was in Lahar, Colorado, which is about 2 hours away. The next place that would be willing to deliver to us was in Montrose. That being said, I did some further research. It does look like a new rule was put into effect in June of 2022 that you have to file for a permit with the Department of Agriculture of Colorado. And it's called an aquatic culture permit. That's a new permit. It's a $100 fee. You also have to do a stocking report alongside that. So before they'll issue us a permit, we have to receive a stocking report. You have to put in an application through CPW. It's free, but that is all dependent on whether it goes hand in hand with this other permit. And I think it's just about making sure you're following all the rules of stocking a pond, especially with non-native fish. So I did some research on the carp. The gentleman who sells carp told me that you need 15 fish per surface area. I haven't found a hard number of the surface area of the pond, but they're $22 a fish for grass carp. Some facts that I found in my research on grass carp, I read anywhere from 5 to 15 per surface acre, depending on vegetation. Vegetation control is noticeably reduced after 3 years. So what I read is you don't see a change in your vegetation until after 3 years. We're right at the 3-year mark of restocking the grass carp from last time. The larger the fish, the less active they are for mitigating that grass, but they do still mitigate. Grass carp control vegetation for 7 to 8 years before they have to be replaced. The grass carp activity and growth is reduced with water temperatures below 57 degrees. So us being in a cold climate is helping our fish not get as large as if we were in a warmer climate. So ours are still mitigating and probably just hitting their stride, the ones that we introduced in 2020. It says, you know, the recommendation that I read online was if you're going to restock, only stock with the appropriate number to maintain your pond. So in my opinion, we don't need to go with the 15 per acre. We could probably do 5 on the lower end because we do still have some that are mitigating. So we're not, we're reintroducing, we're restocking, not stocking for the first time. Like I said, that being said, the only person who will deliver to us with grass carp are $22 a fish. We have to make an order by mid-May. He has a 400-pound minimum, and his delivery fee is $3 per mile, and he's in Montrose. So he does sell rainbow trout as well. They're the 10 to 13-inch fish is $7 a pound. 14 to 16-inch is $8.50 a pound. And the trophy size, 17 to 22, are $10 a pound. I do know that we generally stock 7-inch trout, is what we generally stock. But that's a lot of money. So the other people who are willing to deliver to us, they don't sell grass carp, so we would be out there, but they're willing to do 1,400 6 to 8-inch rainbow trout for $3,000. And that's a flat rate, the fish, the delivery, everything.
Do catfish, I don't know anything about trout and fish and carp, but do catfish eat the bottom? They're bottom suckers. Do they eat the grass?
They're bottom feeders, yeah.
Will they eat the grass too?
The grass, I don't know about, but they're the type of fish that does clean their environment.
But
Yeah.
Bottom.
when they talk about grass, it's not like regular grass. This is real leafy.
It is,
Yeah.
wait,
I would be.
yes,
You can't really fish it very easily
Yeah.
because, So my question comes to this. It goes hand in hand with them fixing this overflow piping or whatever valve.
mhm,
So we buy all these fish and then drain the lake to some level so they can work on it.
mhm.
Are we throwing our money away this year until we get that fixed?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how low the water has to be drained in order to make the repair. We do have the screen on the spill area where it flows over itself. There's a screen, so our fish can't get into the river or the ditch, I guess is what it flows into.
Yeah. the green-
But if you have to drain further than that, yeah, you are kind of throwing your money away. 'Cause
Unless
then
they put a coffer down.
Exactly. So there's a lot of what ifs that go hand in hand with this decision for sure. All the research that I've read, I think that we're okay with not adding grass carp. I think what we introduced 3 years ago is still doing what they're supposed to do. It sounds like they're probably just hitting their stride. Now, that being said, we all know that there's been fish on the bank. What I was told from the fish gentleman himself is that's just kind of a natural cycle, especially with a pond that freezes over, that reduces the oxygen level. So once that unfreezes, of course, you're gonna have some die off from the winter. And those are the big ones that really aren't doing us any good anyway.
Right.
So,
And how much, I don't have the budget in front of me, how much have we budgeted in the past for fish? I mean, this isn't like something that's just throwing on us, is it?
Well, the only time they've ordered fish since I worked here, we spent $3,000. And
Do you have any idea, Robin, or I don't know if Teresa is still available to give us an idea how that works in the budget, if what amount we have available?
Yeah, they usually, as I understand, they planned, each year to stock the pond.
Okay.
Usually they'd make that decision in March. And I believe the delivery was made either in April or May. And that's generally when it was done. And it was done on an annual basis. But we haven't done it because we thought that the valve was going to be worked on, and I don't know what the timeline on that is now.
it's either within a year or 2 years, is what Rick is saying. We need to have it done by at least 2025.
So if that's the case, then restocking it at this time is probably not an issue, then just go ahead and do it.
I have a suggestion. What if you call Durango Fish Hatchery and see if they'd be willing to donate any fish?
I mean, that's an option. I didn't think of that, so I didn't, but I'm more than willing to do some more phone calls. What I will say is the one gentleman that sells the grass carp, he did say he would need an order by mid-May in order to deliver grass carp this season.
That's next week.
But we don't,
Exactly.
it may not be that we need grass carp.
Yeah, and the people who sell the trout with the best price and no delivery fee, she didn't say there was any rush on placing an order. So if y'all want me to do a little more research, then I'm more than willing to do that.
Shauna, Mark
Yes.
Gleason here again. And a couple other systems that I work at, we have used a place called Cannibal Canyon Trout Ranch to
Okay.
deliver both trout and also carp. It can be sketchy to get the carp because they are imported generally from back east. And so they make a trip to Albuquerque to get them, and they want to set up a delivery as soon as possible so that they don't run out of oxygen on the way up and all that.
Right.
But Cannibal Canyon Trout Ranch is actually out in Hesperus, Colorado. Might be worth a call.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, because I did not find them in my search.
And typically with the grass carp, it's been something, at least in my experience. I was the chief plant operator for the city of Durango. We stock those every year because every year there's a generation that dies. And the idea was to use some sort of natural form to reduce the amount of biomass growing in your lake. That's the whole purpose of them. So that's my 2 cents.
Well, thank you.
So, Mark, I have a question for you. While I was researching, I seen that a lot of other people used a natural herbicide to control the vegetation in their lake or their ponds. Is that something that you're familiar with versus the grass carp?
There are some things that are used with the idea that we have people swimming in our lake, technically not swimming, but also in the water. If something were to happen, say to a 7-year-old girl, and she had an outbreak in her skin, you may have thought twice about putting that herbicide in there. And also with the idea that that could potentially get into somebody's drinking water. downstream of us at some point. You really have to think twice about stuff like that.
Okay.
Just saying.
Okay. And that's why I was asking, because once again, I'm not an expert.
So
I'm
is
looking at,
yeah.
I'm looking at the budget, nothing is jumping out at me. They talk about the dam restoration, nothing on fish. Leslie, can you search? Or Jamie, search what, under the fish place and see how much we paid before?
We paid $3,000 to the place we used before.
And I don't know if you saw my comment. They're talking about a coffer dam to put around where the pipe is, so we wouldn't drain the entire lake, just the coffer dam, and then pump that water out.
Is that permit a one-time deal, $100, we don't ever have to worry about it?
Every time you restock,
Okay.
is my understanding is how this is set up. And we've never had to do it before because it's a new regulation that, came down the pipe in June, is my understanding.
I wonder how many fish we lost when they were dipping the lake to put that fire out over there, because that is a consideration, but it is what it is. Okay,
And that might be a limitation on the Durango fish hatchery as well, because this is a private lake.
Mhm.
It isn't open to the public.
Right.
And that is used, fish hatcheries are public funds.
Okay.
But
So-
it's definitely a good,
And what I will do is I will call Mark's suggestion and I'll also reach out to the Durango hatchery as well.
it never hurts for outreach and, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because a donation they can write up.
Yeah.
But it's also government, so who knows?
Okay.
So what I hear is that no decisions will be made on that this evening, and we'll get more information for our next meeting in June. Does everybody agree?
yes.
Yeah. Second.
And it sounds
Thanks,
like
Shauna.
this one in Hesperus is a really good option. And
Yeah.
it doesn't have the limitations
For
that we
sure.
do have a little bit of time.
Okay, thanks, Shauna.
You're welcome.
Okay, item D, add clay to the gravel. I would think that there was an expense to that, right?
Yes.
What, 10 to 11,000, somewhere in there?
Yeah.
But that is critical, because some of these roads that they've just done, if you go up Alpine and Forest Drive, even though it's smoother, there's still a lot of aggregate on the surface because there's nothing left to help bind that.
I thought we'd already talked about this and that we'd all agreed already that that would be something that we would do.
I don't believe there was a vote last meeting, Robin. I think it was tabled for the new board.
It's.
Okay,
critical
that's
to have
right.
clay, because all they're doing is when they crush rock, you have rock and shards. And there's no binder there that even when you put our product on to help hold that together, the clay at least adds some body to the road. And you'll see areas in the subdivision where there's these long, smooth patches that has clay in it. Other areas it stays granular. There is no binder like clay. It's called PI. And yeah, we need to start adding clay into what we crush.
Yeah, I remember Corey saying he was in favor of it as well. So at this point, because it was discussed last meeting too, I don't know who, well, I know two of you were there. The idea of adding clay to gravel, are we in favor?
Yes,
Is
I am.
it in the budget? Teresa? Was it put in the budget before?
It was 150,000. It's in the budget,
Oh, total.
total.
And right now they're saying for this current crush, it's gonna be about 11,000.
More.
Oh, on top of the
That's my
150.
understanding. Because the original 150,000 didn't include clay.
That's just crushing rock is 150,000. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
But that included the crushing, but I thought, Trevor, we're gonna get less crushing because we already had some rocks available.
Are you still there, Trevor?
Yep, I'm still here. So in order to add more clay to it, it would be, yeah, it'd be an additional, I believe it was $11,000. Now we can decide to take, because the way they do it off of tonnage, so we can reduce our amount of 3-inch in order to get that gravel included in our 150, or we can reduce the amount of 3/4 that they create and add the clay, or we can keep it as is, have the projected amount of 3/4 the same and the 3-inch the same, and then add an additional $11,000 on top for the clay, for the
So
3/4.
3 inches is sub base for the road base, which would be the 3/4 to set on top of, so it doesn't get pushed down into the base material. So are not all the roads already built on 3-inch?
They are, there's several areas that we need to actually build the road up, which we would need the 3-inch to do so, and then we'd cap it with the 3/4. But in my opinion, I mean, we already have quite a bit of 3-inch already. So if we
reduce the 3-inch, it would allow us funds to use the clay and not have any kind of increase.
correct, so we would miss out on some 3-inch if we decided to do that.
But it sounded like you just said that you thought you had enough 3-inch already in inventory.
That's my personal thought. If we don't want to spend an extra 11,000, my opinion would be, let's crush less of the 3-inch and use that for our clay, so we can keep the same amount of 3/4. If that makes sense.
The only other
That-
question I have then is if we don't go with 3-inch and they have to crush what would have been 3-inch into the 3/4, does that increase our cost on the 3/4? Or would
It's
we
not
just
going to
stay
cost,
at
no,
the- Would we just stay at the same amount of 3/4 that you've already built into your needs, I guess I should say?
yep. It would, that would stay the same.
Okay, so it sounds to me like personally get rid of the 3-inch and add in the clay and then not have us have a cost above that.
That sounds like a motion potentially.
I'll make the motion that we don't crush 3-inch,
Reduce the,
reduce the cost so that we can pick up the cost of the clay without adding anything to our budget.
I'll second it.
I'm in favor.
Favor?
Okay, everybody agrees, we will do that. Okay, Trevor, you got that?
I got it. I will let Caesar
you.
know.
Super, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Going to item E under new business, compensation for the office staff. It's been brought up that we would like to compensate the gals in the office for going that extra step and filling in for the district manager. There's been a little discussion about a couple different things that we could do. And I think that the majority are saying that adding basically $1,000 a month for the full-time people for each month that they do it, and 500 for the part-time person for each month that she does it, Barb, would be a good way to go. Is that correct?
Yes.
Any
So
more
is there a motion or anything to come with this, or just discussion, or?
discussion at this time?
I don't have a problem with that, because I know they're putting a lot of extra time in their days and a lot of extra headache. So personally, I'm in favor of an increase. I mean, that increase to them is still far less than what we would have been paying Bruce. So it's not like we're taking a hit in the budget. What are your thoughts, Ron?
Michael, did you say?
No, he asked you your thoughts. He looked like you were about to say something.
No,
Um,
I agree that I think that $1,000 for each month for Jamie and Shauna, and then 500 for Barb for each month, that we do not have a district manager, but that they be compensated. And that's the motion I would make.
The only change that I would like to see is that it gets backdated to March.
Yes,
When Ruth left.
Yes.
Okay,
yes. Every month that we do not have a district manager, and that started in March,
yeah,
that we compensate them.
Agreed. Yes, I agree. I would like to make a motion that we vote on that particular part of doing an increase of $1,000 per full-time and $500 per part-time for each month that we are lacking a manager.
Okay,
Any
I
second?
second that. Okay, the second, we all agree?
yeah.
yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that will be compensation. Jamie, I have a question for you. Did you say that your job title was office manager / assistant district manager?
That was what I originally was hired at. My title's been changed 3 times.
Okay. I was just curious as to what it actually was. So at
Yeah.
one time it was that.
Yes, when I was first hired.
Okay. Okay, I appreciate that
Exactly.
information.
I think she's actually been an assistant district manager all along doing that particular work, but just
Yeah.
not titled that.
Right. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the resolution. The 2023-03, the community bank resolution. I do not have that in front of me. Could I get one of you to read that?
A resolution designating community banks of Colorado, Wakefield as depository of funds of Forest Lakes Metropolitan District, Colorado. Whereas the Forest Lakes Metropolitan District Board of Directors has the authority to adopt resolutions necessary for the governing and management of the district for the execution of the powers vested in the district and for carrying into effect the provisions of Article 1, Title 32, CRF, as amended to promote the health, safety, prosperity, security, and general welfare of the inhabitants of the Forest Lakes Metropolitan District and the people of the state of Colorado. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Forest Lakes Metropolitan District as follows. Resolved that Community Banks of Colorado in Bayfield, 301 North Commerce Drive, Post Office Box 500, Bayfield, Colorado, 81122-0500. Be and is hereby designated a depository of this corporation, and that funds so deposited may be withdrawn upon a check, draft, note, or order of the corporation. Resolved that the district manager is hereby authorized to execute agreements between the bank and the district concerning deposits, checks, drafts, notes, or orders of the corporation in accordance with this resolution. Resolved that all checks, drafts, notes, or orders drawn against said account, number 66-0153-7, operating checking, number 68-0142-2, water sewer deposit, and number 602-055-0, payroll account shall be signed by any two of the following. Either the board president, board vice president, board treasurer, Jamie Echeverry, office manager, Shauna Johnson, assistant office manager, whose signature shall be duly certified to said bank, and that no checks, drafts, notes, or orders drawn against said bank shall be valid unless so signed. Resolved that the bank is hereby authorized and directed to honor and pay any checks, drafts, notes, or orders so drawn whether such checks, drafts, notes, or orders be payable to the order of any such person. And or countersigning said checks, drafts, notes, or orders, or any such persons in their individual capacities or not, and whether such checks, drafts, notes, or orders are deposited to the individual credit of the person so signing and or countersigning said checks, drafts, notes, or orders, or to the individual credit of any of the other officers or not. This resolution shall continue in force, and said bank may consider the facts concerning the holders of said offices respectively and their signatures to be and continue as set forth in the certificate of the secretary accompanying a copy of this resolution when delivered to said bank or in any similar subsequent certificate until written notice to the contrary is duly served on said bank. Resolved, all prior authorized signatures presented for the referenced accounts are hereby deleted and replaced by authorization of this resolution. And then, in witness whereof, I have hereunto affixed my name as Forest Lake Metropolitan District Secretary, have caused the corporate seal of said corporation to be here to affix this 9th day of March, 2021. Needs to say 2023.
I would.
Thank you, Julie.
Add a comment on that if I could. I feel on all the other boards that I've been in, that it was mandatory that one of the signatures be either the president, and if the president is not available, then the vice president. But I think the board member should be always one of the signatures. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there, Steve, in the sense that having both Shauna and Jamie sign the same check probably doesn't bode well. But if we had Shauna or Jamie sign with one of the board members, that would probably be okay.
I agree.
Yep.
But I truly believe that the president should be the first option, and if the president isn't available for any reason, the vice president then can sign. That only if the president is not available,
I would add the treasurer to that as well.
as long as it's a board member, yes,
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
it would be a board member.
I agree. You accept that responsibility, treasurer?
It's giving me a headache reading all that.
I was about to say, I'm glad it was you. It
They should.
Take a drink of water.
So if we could get the dates changed then to be, do you guys have the capability to do, well, she's done. Yeah, change it to the day of whatever 2023, right? Then we all need to come in and sign.
I can be in there on Monday and
Yeah,
sign as
'Cause
well.
I have some other stuff I need for you to sign as well, please.
Okay.
So do we need to change the wording in this resolution then to follow what we just discussed about a board member being one of the?
At least one board member
Yes,
instead of any two people.
yes.
Can we do that, Jamie?
I mean, that's what we have been doing unless there's like an emergency and there's like nobody around and we have to get a check out. But for the most part, I've been having the board members sign the checks and I usually can get two to come in.
Yeah.
Worse than myself or Shauna would sign. Shauna first, me last, since I'm the one that creates the checks. That's
Good point.
probably a better practice, although they're aware that we're a small government entity, so when they audit, they realize that we have to wear many hats.
That's
I
true.
usually don't sign unless I absolutely have to.
But I personally think it should be in writing. So that there's nothing's misconstrued.
So if Sean is not there, Jamie could in fact step up and sign with a board member or
Yeah,
the treasurer, the VP or the president are also,
Yes.
So
At least,
we-
at least one board member.
So
okay,
it should say shall be signed by one board member and one,
a minimum. It could be signed by more than one board member, but a minimum of one board member.
Yes.
signed by a minimum of one board member
Yes.
and one office staff.
I don't think you have to say and one office staff, just a minimum of one board member and then the rest.
Okay,
I think that would fall in there, I think.
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
It just puts another layer of,
Yeah.
It's clear
yeah.
and direct.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And Jamie, I just moved right over there. So-
Okay, with those corrections, with those correction, are we all in agreement about how it reads otherwise?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, a motion for that.
Okay, second,
Or you can
Yeah.
second up here.
I'll second and, yeah. He
okay, and
agrees.
all the votes are approved? Good. So moved then, with those corrections. Number 11 is approval of disbursements.
Treasurer.
I don't really know what to do. Guide me a little bit here.
You're just, well, overstep. Go ahead, Robin.
Okay, so do we need an approval, a motion to make an approval of disbursements as they are currently?
Yes, and then you'll state the amount, which is. Let me put my glasses on.
131,
Yes.
97,
Yes.
66.
And what is the amount?
$131,997.66.
Okay, motion to approve disbursement in that amount.
I make a motion? I'll make a motion to approve $131,997.66.
I second.
I agree.
I agree.
Looks like it's unanimous. We can move forward to that. Number 12 is adjournment. Can I have a motion for that, please?
I would like to just make one question. This is not on our website. And I don't think half of Forest Lakes, and I never got this, which was the Metropolitan District Rules, Regulations, and Bylaws. I've never seen this, and I've lived here for 6 years. So I think we need to get that on the website.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I do need to get with one of you though, because there are some things that need to be updated.
Okay.
So maybe next week we can.
Yeah.
get together, or
Yeah.
Friday or something, when you guys have time.
Yes, ma'am.
Friday's my easy date, so.
And I'd like to thank everybody for what I thought was a great meeting.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry for the technical difficulty in the beginning.
It is on the website. It
What's
is
that?
on the website.
It is on the website.
Under organization, district code, the board of directors policies there, the personnel policy manual, the rules, regulations, and bylaws are there, and then the safety manual. It's there.
Well done.
It just needs to be updated with the corrections.
Okay, maybe updated. So again, to number 12, I've got the time as, what is it, 9:41?
Yeah,
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
Okay, thanks for a wonderful meeting. We all
Thank you.
agree. Thank you.
Thank you.